The Epstein file drop from the DOJ has led to a slew of resignations from prominent figures in the business and academic worlds with connections and continuous correspondence with Epstein. But one thing the files haven't led to is new charges. Let's go to Emma Withrow from the Fact Check team. And as we know, and want to be clear, these investigations are ongoing, but many are wondering why. Speak to us about the DOJ's response.
Yeah, it's the question of the hour. And according to the Associated Press, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said that while the release contains a lot of disturbing material, including emails and photos, that doesn't automatically create a prosecutable case. So he told the AP that the DOJ just can't create evidence that doesn't exist. Those were his words. But and this is important, a 2019 prosecution memo included in the release of those files shows that federal investigators did at one point weigh whether Epstein's associates could face conspiracy charges. Much of that memo is redacted, but it confirms the question of who else could be liable. That question was formally considered.
What about, and that is interesting, but what about the state or international investigations? Could they move forward even if the DOJ does not?
Potentially, yeah. Potentially there is some legal pathways for that. So the DOJ released obviously those 3.5 million pages under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and some of that material could serve as leads for state attorneys general or foreign authorities, but they'd still need some independent evidence to file charges. And separately, the Associated Press is reporting that the DOJ now is reviewing whether any Epstein-related records were previously withheld, which could lead to some additional disclosures. But again, disclosure is not the same thing as prosecution. We're gonna have to wait and see where this goes as time goes on. There's just so much information here.
The act, the department will, of course, publish it consistent with the law. The millions of Epstein files released by the Justice Department continue to spark fallout around the world. The documents are raising questions about who had contact with Jeffrey Epstein and what the professional consequences should be. Let's go to Emma Withrow from the Fact Check team, and we know that public backlash, Emma, has led to a slew of resignations. We also know the investigations are continuing, but just run down the list of resignations thus far.
Yeah, there's been a lot. And just to be clear from the start here, being named or mentioned in these documents doesn't automatically mean that someone committed a crime, but they are of note. So in terms of the confirmed resignations or step downs after this DOJ release, first, most recent one was Birger Brenda. He resigned as president and CEO of the World Economic Forum. That was a big one after scrutiny over past meetings and communications with Jeffrey Epstein. In the corporate world, Thomas Pritzker, he stepped down as executive chairman of Hyatt, citing terrible judgment in maintaining contact with Epstein. At Goldman Sachs, chief legal officer Kathy Rumler, she announced she's going to resign after disclosures about her past relationship with Epstein appeared in the DOJ material. And then looking at academia, Larry Summers, former Harvard president, Treasury secretary as well, he's going to resign from teaching at Harvard at the end of the year during a campus review of all of his Epstein ties. And then at Columbia as well, Richard Axel said he's going to step down as co-director of the Zuckerman Institute.
And you mentioned some statements earlier. Based on all of the public comments that we have received, does it sound like reputation is what is driving this?
So far, it looks like overwhelmingly reputational and institutional companies and universities. They're saying that basically we don't want this distraction or reacting to what the documents show about judgment and associations of the people that were working there. And again, resignation doesn't equal charges. In these specific cases, it's mostly just pressure and backlash. Although despite the concerning evidence that's in these files, no new charges have been brought against anybody. So, I mean, take that with what you will.
I want to get into that in a few moments. Emma, thank you.
Thanks.
Later on, Emma will be back to dig into the potential for new charges to be filed against Epstein associates following the release of the files.